there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Welcome. So today is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. And we haven't done one for a couple of weeks now, I think. Did we do one last week? I can't remember. Time goes so fast. We're now in November, and I'm really pleased to say that I'm joined here today by Selina Boshorin, who is one of our newest members at Collaboration Global. And I'm so excited to have you here because we've just been talking about all the little areas that we can touch on, that we're passionate about, that we have really strong opinions on and thoughts about. So this is going to be quite exciting, I believe. Welcome, Selina. So glad you can be here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. I'm just complimenting you on your background earlier because I quite like that. Did you tone it all in with the cardigan as well, and the lovely lavender going on?
It's like I did it on purpose.
If you're not watching this, if you're just listening to this, I have to tell you that Selina is the most colourful person, and I feel I've just got a red jumper on and I quite drag comparison. So if you want to check out what colour she's wearing, go to our YouTube channel, Collaboration Global, and you'll find it all in there. So as a new member, you've recently come into the fold of Collaboration Global, and you've been to two meetings?
Been to 2 meetings now, yeah.
What was your first impression when you came? You're like, what are these crazy people on? What are they talking about?
My first impression was, wow, this is really amazing. I absolutely loved kind of the atmosphere, the energy, the people. I think on the day that I attended it, it'd been one of those really, really busy kind of, a billion Zoom kind of meetings. And then I saw it was like 2 hours, and I was kind of hadn't eaten properly, and you're like, oh God. But the minute I sort of came in, I think there was a meditation as well. And the minute I came in, it was just like, oh, all of that's gone. Like, I literally I feel energized, I feel great, I feel really excited. Wow. So I think, and that was within, like minutes of literally being in the meeting. Yeah. So, and then from then it was just like, yeah, even better. So I was just like, yeah, this is good. This is my time. I can rest. I can be replenished. This is amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm so glad you found that on day one. Just came for a visit. Let's be nosy. Let's see what this is like.
That's
and
it.
Then you found all of that as well. And a lot of our members say that this is their feel-good fix.
Yeah.
Their session that they come just to, I've had a bad week, I'm going to go to Collaboration Global to feel better. And it just feeds their soul. I also think that Quilla, who did the one of the meditations, I think he's got a wonderful voice for radio. It's like, when he talks, you kind of like, just straight away. They did the last one as well. And once we got the sound sorted out, technical problems that you and I have been having over the last few days.
Yeah.
She has a wonderful way of kind of calming as well. And I'm very conscious. We used to do this when we had our face-to-face meetings. I'm very conscious that people come to our space and they have their agenda going on the back of their minds, and it's like, oh, I must remember to get the dog food, and oh, I mustn't forget to send that email. Oh, I didn't send that invoice out, and what's that woman saying? And I can't really hear what she. Oh, for goodness' sake! And I'll leave. I'm going. And we have had people do that. They're there for 10 minutes, but now we have the meditation. It's like giving yourself permission to be in the space and take it in and just enjoy it. So,
that's exactly what it was.
And so far you've been enjoying being a member. It's early days, but again, there's a few things to kind of take on board, isn't there? What with the platform, and have you had a little play around?
I've had a little play around, and as I said, I've been to another meeting, and I've also been to one of the masterclass sessions as well, so Gina's, and that was really good. So yeah, just really enjoying everything so far, and there's lots more to find out.
Oh, indeed. And this is part of it. This is our way of helping all of our members understand a little bit more about Selina and what she's passionate about. So let me take you back to the very beginning, maybe going back to your childhood. You have passions on your heart. You have maybe things that you are angry about in life that don't fit, or maybe the world is a bit crooked. From all of us have these little soapboxes we like to get on, and they start from way back when. Can you identify maybe in your childhood or your teenage years when you started to have, I really loved this, or I really didn't like that kind of passion that bubbles under and you don't always realize it?
Yeah, I think one of those things, and it will always stand out, is how we like to label people. That was something that always upset me. And particularly in the areas of friends and friendships. So when I was young, I had quite a few different friends in different groups, so different ages, different groups, different year groups, different places.
Yep.
And it wasn't about being with one set of people. And I remember one day, I think I was on a bus, I can't remember how old I was, and I got told off by one of my friends because I spoke to someone who was like in a year younger than me. Yeah. And she was like, you mustn't talk to all these younger years people, you know it's not on. And I was just like, I'll talk to whoever I like, I'll be friends with who I want. And it was those kind of things. As I said, like, and that was, I remember that caused me a lot of trouble with the friendship group I had. And it was very much like, you know, you must only be with us. And that's not the sort of person I am. That doesn't make for good life, exactly. You know, and it's that sort of labeling, and we must only be with this that I dislike, and it's through to adulthood now.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because on the one hand, they want loyalty because they want you to be part of their gang.
Exactly.
On the other hand, you're like, well, I can be friends with who I want, but why would you restrict me? That's ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah.
It's kind of learned behaviour, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's what they've been brought up with. That's how they see the world. This is my tribe. You can't, come to my gang. You've got to be part. You've got to. And it's like even in politics, and we found out about Cameron and Johnson in the Bullingdon Club. Why do we need all these kind of things? Oh no, you've got to be in my club, and it's divisive, isn't it? The whole thing is so divisive. It's really interesting. And nothing more divisive. I mean, let's take a little tangent for a minute. Nothing more divisive than the current situation in the world today. We are election day for the US elections, and it is gripping the world. Did you stay up all night? What are your thoughts on what's going on over there?
I didn't stay up, but I was literally like checking every second, and even though I was in bed, I was like there on my phone, like checking, and it was like, what's going on, and why, and anger, and then reading and looking at Facebook and seeing different threads and posts kind of there, and it was interesting though when they looked. There was a poll I think I saw on some of the issue, like what swayed people to vote for particular things, like what issues were they really interested in. And obviously the economy is super important, but it surprised me some of the things that weren't considered, like where they came. So it's things like race and equality, and I think it was like 20% of people had put that was an importance. And other things that actually I think are really important things. And as I said, economy is super important, of course. But yeah, it showed me some of the discussions showed me a little bit. It gave an insight, I think, to how people make choices, and we start to understand, don't we, like some of our motivations. And again, not judging anyone, but I think what I've seen is at times people can be motivated by single issues, or rather things that are just about them. And I think it's that, and this is also what I love about Collaboration Global, is that thought about, let's think about the wider and people and connection and contribution and all of those things. I think because that's really important. And again, bringing it back to kind of the election, and even thinking about the UK and our politics over here, we're voting and we do things some people do things in a way that is just based on, well, this is about me. And I think that's why we're in a lot of the problem kind of that we're in, is people are very much focused on themselves. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but I think that does skew things slightly.
Yeah, but it should be for the greater good.
Exactly.
So many things. I mean, my brain is just going. I've been getting slightly obsessed by a guy called Simon Anholt, who did a TED talk. And he has worked with governments across the world, and he has created the Good Country Index.
Oh.
And the Good Country Index basically rates countries in various categories on how good they are for the rest of the world.
Wow.
And if they are good for the rest of the world, what happens is they get a greater income because people want to go and visit them. So if they have a good image and a good reputation because they're jolly nice people and they are good for the rest of the world, then we want to do trade with them. We want to go and visit them and boost their tourist industry. We have a high regard for them. We listen to them when they talk to us in the United Nations or wherever. And I think the number one country in the Good Country Index at the moment is Norway. And it is about the good that they can do for the rest of the world. So he's also devised the Good Country vote, where when there's an election anywhere in the world, he allows people, anybody can go on it and vote for who they would like to win in another country's election. And people vote on the premise of how good is that person who's being voted for in the US, for example. What good is he to our country? Is he going to be good to our country? Is he going to be, good sanctions? Or so people would say that Biden wouldn't be great for the UK because he was against Brexit. So who knows how the UK would have voted if we all had a vote on the US election? Because that just goes exactly to what you were saying, is that normally in a country you go, well, what's in it for me? And that's the way we've been brought up. That's what capitalism is, and consumerism is like, I want more stuff, I need more stuff, we need more profits, we need the bottom line, it's all about the bottom line, how much more money we get. But actually, if you're looking beyond yourself and your own wants and needs, wants being the operative thing, because in the Western world we don't really need anything, if you're looking beyond your own wants, then what good are they for the rest of the world? So you'd probably have a different outcome if we were all allowed to vote for people's elections. I wonder if these dictators would get through. Obviously not. It's a different way of looking at things. So I really, like what you say. And I know in the US, a lot of people vote against Biden, and not necessarily for Trump, but against Biden because he wants to change the gun laws. The NRA are very vocal in that. Was it the First Amendment? Or, no, not. I can't remember. Yeah, it's the First Amendment, I think. You're allowed to bear arms. And they think it's the Constitution not to be allowed to carry a gun. And yet, statistics will tell you otherwise, really.
Sadly, it hasn't worked. It's not working.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I like the fact that from a very young age you didn't like labels. I think that's so true. And we unconsciously label ourselves. Oh, I'm not very confident. Oh, I'm not a morning person. Oh, I'm left brain, not right brain. Oh, I'm not very creative. Or all in the negative. Labels are quite negative, aren't they?
They are.
It's, what's a positive label that you would own up to? What do you love about yourself?
I think a positive label is one of the things that we've been talking about change makers and being someone that is passionate about change. Like, I think that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing in many ways. Yeah, that's definitely. And I think, as we said, labels can be used positively, but it's about it not being in isolation and it being based on something rather than our own perspectives or our own perceptions on things, which are not always true.
So would you say that people are in fear of change because it doesn't feel comfortable, does it, when you have to make a change?
No, people are, definitely. I remember someone telling me years ago. It was someone I was volunteering with, and I think I was the chair of the organisation of the trustees, and she said, "Oh, people don't like change. People don't like change. No one likes change." And it was like, well, it's not about whether you like it or not. Like, we have to, you know. And I remember saying to her, like, the position the organisation's in, you can stay how you are, that's fine, but it's not working. And the organisation won't actually be there if you carry on doing what you're doing. So it's not a question of do we like or don't we like. It is now at crunch point. So we have to change sometimes. We can't help it.
I think the world is moving so fast that we're probably getting used to it now.
Yeah.
I think we really do. We don't have choice. It's just happening around us. And if you don't jump on that bandwagon, you're gonna lose out, aren't you?
That's it. Exactly. That's the thing.
Looking at the last sort of 9 months, how have you found COVID for your business? I mean, tell us a little bit about your business, and then what's the impact that COVID has had on your business?
I mean, I actually was reflecting on this the other day. There's so much positives for me that have come out of this time. There have been negative things. I mean, I lost my father in COVID in April. Oh. So that as a thing was sad. However, aside from that, COVID has been brilliant. I mean, as I said, obviously I have my business, things have grown. I also started a job as well, literally just like a week before, and that's been amazing. That's been helpful. Business has grown. Charities and people that I support, there's been needs, and obviously that's grown. So actually, to be fair, this has been business-wise, this has been one of my best times. Yeah. Client-wise as well, I've had clients that one was saying the other day, this last month has been her best business month. Brilliant. She's kind of increased such a rate. Obviously, as I said, there have been things that haven't been good for a lot of people, but it's also the opportunities that have come out of this time, I think, as well. The way of working differently, the relationships, I think, the people that I've now, know, things that I've been involved in have definitely changed during this time. And, again, I'm choosing to see it as, lots of positives. I mean, for me, being from home isn't a bad thing, and I quite like it anyway, and I've been doing it before. Right. And being online hasn't been a problem for me because I've been doing it before anyway. And even kind of in terms of lockdown restrictions, only being able to go out and whatever. And I sort of see it as it's more about us being positively selective about how we use our time, rather than my time, I'm being robbed and I can't do this. But it's like I get to really prioritize and focus what's going to work for me, and I think that is really what I've seen. And yeah, as I said, it's been, again, without the noise, without the busy, without the traveling, because that's one thing I definitely did a lot before, was a lot of travel and movement, even just up London, traveling for business and work in Brighton daily, which is like 2 hours. So even just without all of that, just the ability to just sit and think and pause in a different way, I think has definitely been really good. And I know, and for a lot of people as well. Obviously, despite the other challenges, I'm definitely not saying that they're not good, or that they're not great things that happens. But I think, and I think the way also people have come together, I think I've seen that. I've seen goodness, support, community, the way people have really shown creativity at this time has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it only happened for a short while, but every time I think about it, when we used to go out on our front doorsteps at 8 o'clock at night to applaud, and in my street we had the saucepans going, whistles, and it was bonkers. And I got emotional every single week that we did it. Yeah. Even now, just thinking about it. I know. And I thought to myself, because we're all about collaboration in our community, it's like, if people don't understand collaboration after this, they're never going to get it. And realise that it's the people on the ground floor that were the glue that kept the country going.
Exactly.
It's not the politicians. It's not the people that are making all the noise. At the moment, they can't put a foot right. They don't. They're damned if they do. Exactly. And that's, partly social media's problem. And I wouldn't want their job for all the tea in China. No. I do believe that when you create another culture And that initial space in the first lockdown was, we've got to help each other. You know, it was the what they call it, the Dunkirk spirit.
Yeah.
We've got to come together, and and everyone was really lovely to each other. And now the second time, it's a bit bitchy, and I'm like, what's happened? Where's it all gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'm sorry to hear about your dad. I know you mentioned it briefly to us before.
Yeah.
I lost my aunt and uncle within about 3 days of COVID, and that was, and it kind of brings it into you about this is real, this is scary. It's not a great.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like getting ill, full stop. I'm a big baby. If I've got a cold, it'd be terrible if I had a, you know, and I've had the flu, and that was bad enough. I thought I was, and it's understanding that there's that huge fear for people that think, well, if I catch it, I'm dead. That's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore that, and you can't ignore the pressure on the NHS for what they're going through if it grows. So for me, it's a hardship to stay indoors. Well, I've got a nice house. It's not that.
Exactly.
I have a roof over my head, and I have food in my belly, and the world is fine by me. That was one of my friends when I used to work as a teacher, and that's what he would say. And it's true. We've got to be grateful. We've got to be grateful for every little thing. I mean, I don't know about you, Selina, but I can go into a room in my house, and there's a little switch that I can just turn the switch like this, and clean, fresh water comes out. It's amazing.
Oh no, what a concept.
I don't have to go for a walk and get it. I don't have to, you know, sterilise it. It's just there waiting for me.
You don't have to carry it on your head, you're all right.
Exactly. And yet how often do we take it for granted? Or if you got one of those things in your house where you push a button, electric, you know, a light comes on. It's amazing. But
I know.
we take it all for granted, don't we? And I think this has been a great leveller. I think COVID has been a great.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think you said it earlier on, things that we as a world space used to kind of look at as really important. So, you know, this person is more important because they have money. This one's, or, you know, even if we talk about back into politics kind of as well, or refugees, this person is a this one's that. But it's like at the end of the day, you know, even in this country now, people have lost jobs that are high flying and have got millions and are in the same job centre as people who had nothing. So it's like your money is not what it's not what holds you. It is your life.
Exactly. It's and again, that's just a tool to use, isn't it?
Exactly.
What you've said a few times in the conversation is your perspective. Of how you view your life, and we talk at Collaboration Global about context, seeing the context. And a friend of mine used to say, sometimes your situation doesn't change, but you go to sleep on it, and in the morning it looks different, and you can cope with it, and you can see it from a different place.
Yeah, that's it.
One of the things that we touched on just before we came on air. Sounds good, doesn't it? Just and obviously part of the US elections is, you know, they were boarding up houses, shops and things because they were wondering about riots and stuff. But one of the hot topics over the summer before we knew each other was Black Lives Matter. And I was just telling you about a session we had discussing this topic. So I'd love to kind of pull you in and hear your experience of the movement, but also in your lifetime in the UK, you know, have you suffered? Suffered. Racism.
Yes, I would love to say that I haven't, but I have. And I think when, you know, kind of Black Lives Matter came up, and when it sort of really came up in people's faces, I think it was a time, you know, people were tired of accepting less. You know, and it was, you know, and it's not that it hadn't been going on, and it's not that, you know, but it was just that people were tired of accepting less. They were tired of being told, I'm not good enough, I have to put up with. And this is an acceptable way of behaviour, which I think was great. I mean, I don't, you know, it's not about necessarily agreeing with the riots or different ways of doing things, but it was that people have to speak out. You know, people had been forced to and subjugated to lots of things, and it was, no, we have to speak out. You know, and I think I was pleased that we were starting to examine and look at things, and not just, as you said, from the perspective of just the people that experience it, but it was there in people's faces. And this, you know, and especially for the UK, again, people started to say, well, ours is different. We don't have this problem in the UK. Well, actually, we do. We have it in the obvious way, but we have it in the other ways. You know, it's about how you design your systems. Workplaces, again, we're having to start looking at that. And I think for me, in terms of my own personal experience, I've experienced it in different ways. I've experienced it in terms of the very obvious and, you know, words and name calling, but also if we think about systemic racism and how it works in industry, how it works in workplaces, you know, being someone that you are putting in effort, you are working, you are doing a good job, but your effort will never be recognized. And in fact, you will be criticized because you are a black woman. And, you know, people that you know are not doing as good job, they are allowed to do that, but you are not. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing. So as I said, in the UK, we do have a problem.
Yeah.
We do have a global problem. It's not just the UK. Yeah. We have lots of inequalities problems. So I think, you know, and that was something that was really interesting to me when people, you know, I used to see the All Lives Matter. And I did have a conversation with a friend about a month ago about this. And it was, yes, we know all lives matter. We do. Mm-hmm. However, what we're focusing on right now is this. You know, and it's like saying to someone like about disability, and you say, well, all people of all abilities matter. So it's just like, you can't say that. That's icky. Don't do it.
I loved it when somebody said to me in our discussion, actually, it's like, you know, there's all the houses in the street and one house is on fire. Yes, all the houses are important, but the one that's on fire at the moment is the one we've got to go and, you know, help.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was really interesting to me when it was all kicking off is how ignorant I was around the subject, and how naive I was, and how black people that I spoke to didn't realise how I didn't know that, you know, how white people don't know the stuff that you're going through. So there was, I can't remember the actress's name, but she was saying that she's often pulled over by the police in the UK. Was late for a show, and she said, oh, I had a pullover. I think there was a certain name for it. And her friend went, oh, blah, blah, blah. So this white person said, oh, what do you mean? She said, well, you have it, don't you? When the police pull you over? She said, I've never been pulled over by the police. She said, what, never been pulled over by the police? She said, no, never. And they did a quick straw poll, and all the black people get pulled over at least once a month. And all the white people were like, no, not happened to me. Like, it cannot be that all black people are bad drivers, that they need to be pulled over. It just isn't logical. And you're just like, whoa, that's just, how did that happen? So is that false? You know, so you have to then acknowledge that and tackle that and get it out in the open. And that's what the whole thing was about Black Lives Matter. It's getting these things out in the open. So you can't do it anymore. You can't go down that road. And for me, my only way of acknowledging it is because before BLM, there was Me Too. I had, you know, hashtag Me Too. As a woman in a male environment, I had been subjected to, you know, sexual discrimination. And it makes you angry, it makes you upset, it makes you feel that life is not fair, it makes you feel impotent to do anything. And it kind of makes you go, wow, how did the suffragettes cope? You know. But if you add into that, then you happen to be black as well. Oh, and hang on, what if you're disabled too?
I know.
What else can we throw at you? You know, it's like, it's just ridiculous, because all of these differences are actually what makes the colour of our country. You know, the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly.
The world. We should be celebrating all the differences, celebrating all the cultures. Not one is better than any other. No religion is better than any other, because ultimately every religion, the essence of it is love. All of them. So why should they be creating wars?
Exactly. And also what I saw as well from that, and for a lot of discussions, it was also how we have accepted not accepted it, but you kind of just go, okay, you're prepared almost, that's going to happen, I'm going to have to deal with this, okay, cool, suit up, carry on. And
You become compliant and
yeah, and in a way, like it was like actually we needed to be challenging this lot before, and people were, and I think, but it's not just about black people or people of color having to challenge it themselves by themselves. And I think that was the other thing that made this beautiful and made this different, because it's like it's not just up to me to fight it, it's not just up to people that are disabled to fight it, it's not just up to women, it's not just up to trans people, it's up to the whole world to fight this. And I think that was the very beautiful thing that came out of this. It was everyone and different people that were saying, actually, no, this is not okay, because we don't have a good world and a sound world if one of our kind of parts isn't working, like it isn't.
And that is why I'm going on record to say, if Trump wins, that movement is being put back.
Definitely. And it can't. It can't. And it just makes me sad, as I said, reading some comments and people are just like, and his whole thing about, well, we've won and it's illegal and our voting system, and it's just kind of like, people, why? Again, why are we accepting less? Why? And then you hear, as I said, some people that support him and some things they come out with, and again, not judging anyone, but at the same time, it's a bit what? How does that even make sense?
Well, I'll tell you the reason. I'm not saying it's the reason, but this is something that I've been reaching and learning for recently. So I thoroughly recommend a podcast called The Dissenters. And from there, I got introduced to a TED Talk of Carol Cadwallader, who is a journalist for The Observer. And she discovered that in the Brexit vote, there was advertising going to individuals that was being individually targeted in certain areas in the country in order to propaganda, manipulate the way that they would vote. And nobody could find out for a long, long time where these adverts came from, where they went to, and who was funding them. And it turns out, indirectly, Russia had a little finger in the pie, and it was going to people like villages in outer Wales. So this woman, after the vote, everyone was shocked, and she was told by her editor, go and find out what people voted in Wales, totally white constituency, what's going on. And she asked various people at the in this village and town in Wales she was a coal mining town. It should have been Labour. They should have wanted to be part of, because Labour introduced a common market and all of that back then. And she said that they were saying about, oh yeah, we voted because we don't want the immigrants here. It's just like, where? There are no immigrants here. What are you talking about? And there was one Polish woman in the whole of the town, and she found her, and she said, oh, but we were all getting these adverts on Facebook, and they were really violent and scary, saying people are going to be coming over in their thousands and they're going to be coming and staying. So they were scared. They were voting against Brexit because they were scared of the refugees and the immigrants coming in. So this is what's going on in America at the moment. These adverts are going to people that are lonely and scared and don't have any way of checking these facts. And that's where false facts came from in the first place. And now I've only got this from these sources, but you would assume that the journalist in The Observer, who has been talking about this for the last 5 years, would have some checks and balances, not kind of totally libeling all of these people. But it's just crazy that we assume everyone's seeing the same things that we are.
Yeah, but they're not.
It's all been personalised, and social media. And there's a film out, I've seen it, called The Social Dilemma.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. It's been mentioned too many times for me not to watch it.
And that's basically explaining what I've just said about how these guys were at the top of their game in Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and all these others, and they walked away from it because they don't like the way it's going. He said, when I designed the thumb sign for Facebook, he said, I thought it was a good thing. He said, I thought it was going to bring people together. He said, and by 2017, I realised it was driving people apart for various reasons. And he said, the things that are going on now, he said, I can't be party to, and I had to walk away. So, we are being manipulated, and the only way we can stop from being manipulated is not be addicted to our dopamine hit on our phone.
Yeah.
Which comes slight digress, I know. So,
But it's true. It's true. It's important.
But it goes back to what you were saying as well. I ask all of our guests on this show to say, how would you like to be known? And what's your kind of, who are you being that we can connect with you? And one of the things you said is about contribution to society. So, I mean, you've already said that you volunteer. Tell us a little bit more about how you got involved in that.
Yeah, so actually I volunteer in a couple of different spaces. So first of all, I'm a school governor for a primary school. I started as a school governor in 2009, and I first started in a school in Croydon, a primary school in Croydon. It was, again, diverse, a community that was, a school that was in need. And I'm really passionate about education, and again, kind of part of my background is within teaching and education, and so that really inspired me to be part of that. Fast forward, as I said, by that time I'd been involved in 2 schools over in Croydon, and then I started with another school in Southwark, so in Camberwell. So I was governor of 3 schools. I became chair, and now I'm chair of this one as well. Again, it's really good just being part of education, being part of kind of the strategic side of education. And again, with the school that I'm at, they have been absolutely fantastic. They've stayed open right through. They were supporting key workers, and again, just the hard work that they've been doing. So that is sort of one side of my volunteering. Then another organisation I volunteer with is called Central Southwark Community Hub. So they have a food bank, and they have various projects that support people within the sort of Camberwell, South London area. And yeah, as I said, I support them kind of with training, and also supporting the organisation kind of in general as well. And yeah, and I've always, as I said, been passionate kind of about helping, about different things. And, I started volunteering, I think, when I was probably 14. My mum worked, officially, that was my first official volunteering project. So my mum worked in social care at the time. And one of the things that she did was Meals on Wheels. So on the Saturdays, I used to go out. First started going out with her, but then it was a couple of the other sort of colleagues. So when they used to deliver the Meals on Wheels, I used to go out with them. As I said, I was 14 every Saturday. It was really nice. And it felt just really like I'm making a difference to something, and I'm thinking about someone else other than myself. And I think that's been the reason I have volunteered, literally, and as I said, I've been involved in other community organisations and things, because it's good to think it's like you're doing something not for yourself but for other people, and it helps you to, again, that word perspective, but it helps you to see the reality for other people, and to use your gifts, use your talent, use what you do to help people. And then the reward and how you feel from that is just, it's amazing. And you meet lots of different people, and it just helps you, when you think life is difficult. It's let me really see,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I didn't volunteer, but about 100 years ago, I worked for the Greater London Council in the housing department in Tower Hamlets, and you see a different of life.
Yeah.
It just gives you that gratitude for what you have, but also, it's wow, some people have got such resilience in their life, and they have kind of dreams and ambitions the same as everybody does, and life has given them dealt them a bad hand, but it doesn't mean to say they have to accept that hand, and they can move forward. So, and governor is so hard. Oh my God. Doff my cap to you, my darling, because it's the work and the time spent there, and it's huge. absolutely huge job. And the fact you're doing it for lots of different schools, I'm like, blimey, it's I do admire you. I did it because I was a teacher, so I was the teaching,
Yeah.
On the thing. But it was, I found it quite mind blowing the detail in which you have to get into.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. And as I said, it is so enjoyable. And then you see the job of the teachers, and yeah, as I said, I'm passionate about young people in education as well. So yeah, and it gives you so much experience. I think volunteering as well. Like there's so much experience that you do, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's we should all be doing it, absolutely, 100%. Tell us, talking about when you were young with your mum, who's at home with you now? Are you in lockdown solo, or have you got a little band of people with you?
No, not a lot, but not a band of people. But my mum, as I said as well, she obviously is working. She's at the charity and she's out. So then I'm here, in HQ by myself, enjoying the space, which is great.
So is she still a social worker? Did you say social worker?
No, she, as I said, runs a charity.
Right.
She runs Central Southern Community Hub that I mentioned.
Oh,
she runs that. So she's out doing her bit there as well. As I said, being a key worker, working straight through, but then does quite a lot in the community as well. So that's I have caught the community thing. Although
everyone knows her as well, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think what's been quite good as well, as I said, back in her day, she's had a mix of the community and business, like very much business focused and entrepreneurial. And I think also that's been a good example kind of for me, and again, we have a similar interest kind of in that. So that's definitely been great.
So you think, was she the person that influenced you to create the business that you've got at the moment? How did that come about?
So my business, in a way she was, but in a way it wasn't. Like my business came about, I had been working as a careers advisor at the time, and I had actually, although technically we started an events business first. That was the first business I started back in 2009. So again, we used to do I used to do quite a lot of events for free, help and do things around. So that was kind of the first business in the first part. But with the coaching side of things, as I said, I was working as a careers advisor, used to do quite a lot of training for people informally, and then I also found I was getting quite a lot of clients and people I was seeing that were coming to me and they had business ideas or they had skills and were a bit like, oh, I'm not sure how to use those. So that for me was kind of like the kickstart into, right, I need to start this business. Then the other part of it was one being just really unhappy with the job that I was doing. You're helping other people think about their own growth, and then you yourself are being not treated very well. The funny thing was, I actually said that to one of my colleagues as I was leaving, one of the managers, and I said, there is no way we can be in education and development and not think of our own development. Like, that's just mad. And he just looked at me like, what are you even talking about? Thinking about your own development, like what does that even mean? What do you mean? And that for me was like, no, I am definitely good to leave. So it was a combination of that interest in careers advice and skills, plus also having a real interest in leadership and business. I started analysing really and looking at even the people that were running our organisation at the time and thinking, well, that doesn't work well. The business isn't growing. The organisation isn't doing well. But over here, this person is working and the business is working and people are happy. Like, why is that? Yeah. So then that started that fascination into kind of that aspect. Right. So when I first started, and again, was a really good opportunity, it came through, again, a connection that I had from one of the schools. The chair, she was also part of another group of like schools and children's centres, and they were looking for someone within coaching who could do some work with the team and do some work with some of the managers. And I was looking to, obviously that was like, I knew I was going to leave work, and I was like, if I needed a sign, this is it. So I went to go and deliver a presentation, and then they did take me on to do a piece of work with them over 3 months. So that was kind of like my first leap into going out. As I said, I didn't know what money, where money, didn't know how things were going to be, but it was like, I just need to get out. And I've seen this little bit of a sign that let me just go. And it was really good. I mean, I got my first individual coaching client from that as well, plus also the work with the school and with the children's centre, so that was really exciting. And yeah, it got me into doing, as I said, the things I wanted to do, plus, experiment and understand people more.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love the fact that you've done that, because there are a lot of people out there as business coaches. Maybe they bought a franchise or something, and they've not actually started from scratch all on their own. And that's the moment of going, this is my day job, but I really want to do that over there. But this pays me money, and that might pay me nothing. And I don't know. And it's knowing when to do the jump. And if you can, from my perspective, I say to my clients, you go part-time and you do it bit by bit, and you build up, and then you go. Very safe.
Yeah.
But you just went, I'm going for it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to do the whole kind of like, okay, gradual thing. But I think also at the time, with the contract I was working, they'd been messing us about with pay. So I hadn't properly been paid anyway. So it was kind of like, what am I hanging on to? Because it was like kind of slight freelance or whatever. And I was like, what am I doing hanging on to something I'm saying is certain, but is not certain?
No.
I made a move from another organisation to try and do the whole kind of... and it was like, this is not working. The funniest thing was the day after I left, I think it was the day after, I texted a friend and they were like, you sound happier after I left. I was like, it's a text! What do you mean I sound happier? Obviously, it was just picking up on like the energy, but I didn't realise the difference and what it had done.
It just pushes you down. And
yeah.
And because it's gradual, you don't really see it, do you? It's just kind of until you look back and you're like, whoa, why didn't I
I'm like, why didn't I get out quicker? But I wasn't ready. I think when I originally planned it, I wasn't ready. But by that time, I was like, well, I'll end up dying here. Like, and it made me stressed as well. You know what I mean? And I was, as I said, viral infections and stress and all of that. So it's like, it's not actually worth losing your health for, all because I say I'm looking for security that's not actually security.
And I don't think it exists in any job now.
No, this is it.
A friend of mine, her daughter does freelance stuff all over the place, and she's like, I just want her to get a secure job. And I'm like, they don't exist anymore,
No.
All the big boys, even Debenhams, you think that would be a really nice secure job, wouldn't you? But they're gone. It's finished.
No, exactly.
So there's nothing out there that's necessarily secure. What is secure is when you've learned a lot about your trade and you know your stuff and you know that you're good at what you do. And one of the things that you do as a business coach, which is what I love about it, is not only do you give people a new perspective on their business, and you see things from a different light, and you have a vision for what could be. So you've got the opportunity to give them options and help them to paint that big picture. But you're a bit like me, that you're a bit of a doer and you're practical as well. So what sort of practical things do your clients, need for you to do? How do you get stuck in?
So practical things for me that might be introducing them to help and support for their business. So if someone is looking to outsource or, even something as basic thinking about kind of social media, I would help them by finding a person that I can introduce them to. If they're thinking about, okay, what systems can I use for my business, or, what's a good planner? Again, it's signposting them to things like that they're going to need to do kind of the job as well.
Well, that's interesting, because now you're part of Collaboration Global. You're going to find lots of those clever little people around that you can post,
which is exciting.
Find out about. So that's pretty cool. And vice versa, they've all. So, the marketing person is going to come across someone whose business is a bit wonky in the nicest possible way. And they're going to, you need to talk to Selina. She'll be able to sort you out. She can see the way forward. And that's quite, when you're in it, when you're stuck in a business and it's not working, you're like, I'm doing the same thing again and again, and working so hard. You're like, well, it's because you're doing the same thing again and again. You need to be thinking of it from a different way. And it's a lovely feeling when you can help somebody see the wood for the trees. It helps them to stand back a little bit, go, stop the world, you're going to get off for a minute, I'm going to hold your hand, you're going to be fine, and we'll fight together. We'll fight forward. And these people that are solopreneurs and don't have a team around them, don't have anyone to talk to, how they survive without a coach is beyond me. Because it's the fastest way to the loony farm, isn't it? When you've got so much pressure on you, especially if you're the sole breadwinner, maybe you're a single parent, or whatever it is, and the money is essential. Then you're working for money, and then a job that is just no joy. That's what you're doing every single day, getting out of bed. How do you drag yourself out of bed for money? I mean, money's nice, don't get me wrong. All love a bit of money. I can spend a bit of money like the next man. But if that's your sole reason for working, soul destroying, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's the thing, like, you need something a bit deeper when those days and times become difficult that's going to drive you. Whereas if it is just about the money, it's almost a bit like when it becomes really hard, well, what have I got? Like, nothing. So you do need that, and you need those people, and I think that's why community, coaches, accountability, support, other humans are even if they come in virtual forms or people that you text, like, that's really important. Just someone, as you said, to get out of your own brain. I mean, I have that for me, and again, that's why being part of Collaboration Global is brilliant, because we all need that. There's moments kind of where I go even to myself, oh my god, this thing is really like causing me trouble. I go speak to a coach or someone else, and they're like, oh, okay, well, you can just do that, and you can do that, and why don't you try it? And I'll be there like sitting there like, and then someone else just looks at it for 5 minutes and goes, yeah, that's fine, because that's how it works.
Yeah, it's annoying when they do that though, isn't it? For hours and you've done me in 2 minutes, thank you very much, but I'm really annoyed.
No, it's nice and I think it's nice and grounding. It's like it shows us also that we're all human and we're all real, and we all need someone. Like, no one is above that at all.
One of the things I often say in Collaboration Global is there's no right or wrong. Don't get on your high horse and think you know it all, because you don't. There's no such expert.
No.
We specialise in stuff. We know a lot about stuff in our own little sweet way because we're fascinated by it and we're interested in it. And yes, you can come to Selina for leadership guidance, and different to Charlie for marketing or whatever. But at the same time, you can come to them for friendship. And I've had a bad day.
Exactly.
I don't know what to do. And you've got someone at the other end of a phone or a text or anything just to go, I know I've had a bad day as well. Maybe it's in the planets. Maybe next and it's amazing how that comradeship, if that's the right word, kind of bolsters you up. And,
it does, yeah.
Well, we've had a bad day today, but tomorrow's going to be better because I had a chat with you, so I feel better now. So
that's it.
Okay, I'm going to be good.
You can do this. It's fine.
Yeah, you can move forward. As one of our core values is human being first, and it is about that we come to the community and we acknowledge that we're all human beings with our failings. But the philosophy is, because you're a human being, I love you. Therefore, I respect you and I trust you and I'm here for you and I want to help you. And I know that in return, you're going to want to help me and support me and challenge me and help me to be the best me that I can be. And if that's all we can ever do for each other, then that's awesome. That's incredible and that's amazing. And being in that culture is that opportunity for us all to kind of be a little bit taller, be a little bit bigger than we were the day before. And that's what we keep doing is moving desperately on. So Selina, what do you do for funsies? I know it's lockdown. I mean, in the normal world out there when we were allowed to go out and play, what was your passion outdoors and what fun things did you do? And what do you do now?
Well, actually, the funny thing was, during this time, I actually discovered Netflix, because I was never really for years, I hadn't been a TV watcher at all. Love films and going out to films.
Yes.
But, now I've actually discovered lots of, and there's lots of series that I've actually watched in a day, in a couple of hours. So, that's a bit of a binge. I am and have always been, and I suppose this hasn't changed during lockdown. I'm a bit of a foodie, so obviously we can't go out to eat, but I love staying in to eat, and I do enjoy cooking. So restaurants are still there. Just Eat is brilliant. But that hasn't stopped me, so that's fine. I just can't go to them, but they can come to me, which is brilliant. I don't even have to get off my seat. Brilliant.
So what do you cook? What's your specialty dish?
I like making a lot of Thai things. Although lately, what I've started to do is literally just kind of pick a random recipe from different countries. So I did a tagine a couple of weeks ago, and a kind of an African stew, but it was like not like just picked from another part of Africa. I think it was like Algeria. And I just literally kind of went online and just looked, and that's what I'm starting to try and do. Is just literally go all around the world in places of things I haven't cooked or eaten before, and just picking recipes. Although I do have to find an actual restaurant so I know what it tastes like, so that I know I'm tasting it, doing it right.
Yummy, and everyone else goes
exactly, like we'll be okay. So yeah, I think I actually have to find these places. But yeah, that's quite fun actually, just picking random stuff and saying I'm gonna cook it, because I'm a bit of a chili person as well, so I love chili and spice and all of that.
We got into a phase of is it Just Eat? No, not Just Eat. Go Fresh, where they give you the recipe, like idiot proof.
I love them. I used to do that before, but then it's like I can actually go to a shop and buy the ingredients. But it's just so much easier.
And then you keep the recipe card, and then you go and get all the ingredients yourself, and then you know what to do. So it's especially if you go, oh, that was lovely, I can do that again.
I had one like that. It was a sweet corn and like mango fritters, and that was another little it was Tesco's recipe cards that I got. So I was like, oh, I like this. This is good.
So are you a keep fit person? Do you go running and things?
I wish I was. I keep saying I'm going to start, and I will be. So maybe this lockdown I might do, but unfortunately not. But what I do like, and I haven't really done it for a little while, is dancing. So things like Zumba or hip hop. I used to go to hip hop dance years ago, so that's something I definitely do want to start. So I think maybe this lockdown it might be.
I love a bit of Zumba. Are you into Strictly?
I haven't watched it this time, but I do enjoy it. Yeah, I've watched kind of the last couple, but yeah, not this one.
You kind of look at it and go, oh, could I do that?
That would be good, wouldn't it? I'd love to be a dancer like that. It'd be brilliant.
So, what else haven't I asked you yet? I'm just going through all of my notes. We've looked at quite a bit. We've skipped through quite a lot.
We have.
What are your dreams for your future? Where do you see your business going? Where do you see your life going?
Oh, that's a good question. Dreams for the future, I think for me, it's about being able to, whatever I do, being able to make an impact.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, being able to be someone who, I am passionate about growth and learning. So if I've been someone that other people have been able to change, to grow, to learn, to do something different, to have a different perspective, not about me, but for their own life and themselves. Yeah. I think that, would be great, if I'm able to do that on different scales. And also just to, that I've been able to laugh a bit as well. I think that's really important, to keep laughing.
Oh my goodness, it's your feel good factor, isn't it? If you're not laughing, then you're not living, really. You've got to be maximising that. And I love the fact that you've told us throughout this conversation that you're helping out in charities, and from a very early age you were doing all of the Meals on Wheels even. And now your dream and your big goal for the future is to help more people. It's like it's DNA, isn't it? You can't help.
Definitely.
You want to be able to help more and more people. So I think you are perfectly placed in Collaboration Global to be able to help a lot of people, and in turn have them support and help you to get to as many people as you can possibly help. And that's part of what collaboration is about, that leverage to get your voice heard further and further afield. So the gift that you've been given is you can maximize it and you can get it out there. And when at the beginning I said to you, what do you want from this podcast? And you said, just for people to hear my voice so that I can be heard. and it's getting your message out there. So hopefully, if somebody is in business at the moment and they like the sound of what you've been saying, and perhaps they're in business either solo or with a small team, and they've been going round and round in circles going, oh, why isn't it getting easier? It should be getting easier. We need to pivot. We don't know what to do. I don't know what the next step is. If they're feeling frustrated, how would they get in touch with you to have a conversation?
So the main way is on Facebook as well. So they can find me, Selina Boshorin, in terms of my profile. But my business is, it'll be all the Facebook bits and then / Butterfly Transform. Or I have a Facebook group as well, which they can find me into.
Can you just spell your name for people so that I'm not
wrong? Yes. Selina, and my surname is Boshorin. My Facebook group is called the CEO Collective, but it's the CEO Collective by Selina is the address for it.
That's how they'll find it. And presumably they can connect with you on LinkedIn as well?
They can as well, yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, exactly the same, Selina Boshorin.
Lovely. Thank you so much for our conversation. I mean, we've scratched the surface of many, many topics, and actually next time we'll have an opportunity to pick one and do a deep dive on those. But it's fascinating to find out more about you, and also your commitment and your passion to helping other people. I think is absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, firstly, but also for being part of the Collaboration Global community. I know you're going to have a fantastic time. You're going to meet some amazing people, and they're going to love having you and supporting you and helping you, as I know you will them as well. So thank you so much.
It's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. If anybody wants to meet Selina in person, she will be at our meetings, which are the last Tuesday of the month. The next one is the 24th of November. We don't have one in December, but then just go to the last Tuesday in January. I have no idea what date that is, but it's the last Tuesday in January. And you can meet her for yourself and have a little chat with her and find out more about her at that meeting. All guests are welcome. And we don't charge for that. You can find that on Eventbrite, or you can go to our website, which is collaborationglobal.org. If you fancy having a chat with me, you can always get hold of me, Jill, Gill, at collaborationglobal.org. And my name is Jill Tiny, and thank you for listening today. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Bye.